Good afternoon, everyone. How's it going out there? Welcome back here to a Saturday, October 4th, 2025 is the date. Straight up noon here along the West Coast. Latest activity here shows a 3.8 earthquake. Looks like down across the Peru-Chile Trench there in the green flag. Notice some larger movement up here across the Japan area. Late last night, early this morning, got a six-pointer stirring up there off the coast here of Tokyo. That looks like it's about 29 miles deep here into the subduction zone of the Japan Trench. This is the area that had a 9.1, I believe. Let's see what that was back in, 9.1, 2011, right there in the Japan Trench. Big time earthquake. Occasionally, it looks like we'll see some larger movement. I'm really not too concerned with anything above this range, though, because think about the time that has passed since 2011. It's really not a sufficient amount of time for a big megaquake in this area. But up in this region right here, the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench, right about here, so this area is primed, I feel, for some larger movement. The 8.8 that struck back here in July ruptured about a 500-kilometer long length here of the subduction zone, but not in its entirety. So there is sections out here that are well primed for some big earthquake activity. Went back here and looked at the historical models. Now there was looks like some 8s out here back in 2011, 2006. There was a 7.8, 1915. A couple other earthquakes here of 8 magnitude. There was 7.8, 1918. Now think about this though: an 8.1 earthquake or an 8.0 seems like a fairly large earthquake, and it definitely is. But think of the terms of energy out here. So, for example, the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench is capable of producing a 9-pointer. Easily. Now, 1 magnitude 9.0 earthquake is the equivalent to about 32 magnitude 8.0 earthquakes. So it would technically take 32 8-pointers to relieve the strain that's been building up out here. And we don't have that 32 earthquakes out here. So this region here is an area to watch here for some potentially larger movement with what's happening here recently with the uptick in earthquake activity here across the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench on the northern end. This is where that 8.8 struck back in July. They're seeing, like I said, a fairly large amount of aftershock activity, more so than normal for just, an 8.8. I get it can continue for months, but we're also seeing some larger events in there as well. And now we got a 6-pointer down south. It makes sense here to watch this area where technically we have not had any major release of strain out here. Remember, an 8-pointer, you have to have 32 of them to equal the equivalent of a 9-pointer out here. So I feel like this region is quite strained for some larger movement. We do have to watch that closely. It's a major subduction zone, and I think we need to watch that closely. That's just my honest opinion here and my scientific overview of watching what's been going on here over the last couple years, and more so in the last couple months. Excuse me. All right, down across the Philippines area, still seeing quite a few earthquakes down there as well, 5s and 4s. Let me see if we got anything around the Japan Nankai Trough Zone. I don't see anything showing up here for now, but man, that middle point boundary, watch that. There was one earthquake up here. It looks like from just after midnight, 25 miles deep here into the Kuril-Kamchatka. It's kind of sticking out here like a sore thumb when you got two major areas of interest and lack of historical large earthquake activity. Talking about sufficient release of strain, it makes sense to watch that area, folks. Up into the Pacific Northwest, we have some movement around Mount Rainier. These guys actually reporting a 1.5 at 9:46 in the morning. So let's go see what we got there at 9:46 in the morning. 9:46 in the morning is going to be this earthquake right here for a 1.5. Now notice that did show up a little bit stronger than the majority of these other ones. But I've been saying this here since the earthquake swarm stirred up back in July, that even these little ones are still earthquakes. They've just gone without reporting them. Let me go back here and see what else there was. A recent 1.5 way up north away from Rainier. There's a little 0.1. It looks like there was two of them there. 1.5 and a little 1, or 0.1. That's kind of why I guess it looks a little thicker here on this end. So this is going to be a little 0.1 prior to that. That means a lot of these others are around that magnitude as well, maybe some a little bit larger than the 0.1. But this 1.5 that showed up, obviously bigger than the majority of these. This is just a reading that happens every, it seems like every 14 hours or so. There's some type of adjustment that takes place here on the digital seismograph station. We go back to previous UTC time, and you can see there's still earthquake activity occurring up there at Mount Rainier. But these are the ones that they're not counting. They're not. I don't think they can even locate, pinpoint exactly, and determine the exact magnitude, depth, and location there. But this looks, obviously nothing like what we had back in July. I'll show you guys real quick when it stirred up, July 9th or so. Look at all those earthquakes. There was a lot stirring up there. So nothing like what we had there in July, but we're still seeing some earthquake activity. Same for the Mount St. Helens region. Nothing showing up here today. It does look like there was a little earthquake to the southwest here this morning, 2:27 in the morning for a little 0.6. So let's go see what we got there. It may show up there at 2 something in the morning. Let's see, 2 something in the morning for a little 0.6. It could be I think it may be this one right here. But there's, as you can see here, these are definitely some events, some smaller events as well. Little bitty ones, but these could be very deep earthquakes happening that may not be of any sufficient magnitude, but there's still earthquakes. So just kind of watching things out here across the volcanoes. That's up in Washington there. Also one earthquake around Mount Hood. 2 of them. Take that back, 2 of them. We got a 1.0 and a little 0.8 negative. Now that's interesting here. Why is a negative earthquake larger than the 1.0? Jeez. Let's go see Mount Hood real quick. We'll check out the seismograph stations here real quick. See what's going on at Mount Hood. Hope everyone's having a good weekend, by the way. We'll check out Palmer Lift up here, see if anything's showing up on the graphs today. So that is definitely a legit earthquake around 9 something in, last night. And that would match maybe one of these, or maybe both of them, a 1.0 and a little 0.8, 9:30 and at night. Yeah, that would probably be it. It does look like there's still more earthquake activity listed here on the chart. It actually looks like Mount St. Helens, all the little bitty ones. Those are definitely earthquakes. I don't think they're ice quakes or rockfall. I just see this as an uptick in earthquake activity across a number of volcanoes there in the Cascades. Nothing in terms of eruption near term, but the earthquake activity is definitely kicked up there across quite a few volcanoes there. Mount Hood, Mount St. Helens. The main one right now, Mount Rainier, seeing a lot of activity. This earthquake here around, I don't even know. Enumclaw, is that right? Hopefully. Around Upper Mill. A little 1.5 coming in the last hour. Not for sure what that is. Let's see, some kind of butte. But anyway, we'll continue to watch it. Obviously there's been quite a bit of slow slip events out there along the Cascadia, and as that plate continues to dive underneath the region, it could amplify the volcanoes out there. That's how they get their fuel, so to speak. Northern California got nothing new to report here today along the Battle Creek Fault. Last earthquake there, 2.3 from yesterday afternoon. Been watching this because it's been fairly active in terms of earthquake activity there recently, and it's very close to the Shasta Dam region. Bay Area, got an earthquake here in between Hayward Fault and the Calaveras Fault, or the Green Valley Fault, excuse me. Big cluster of fault systems out here through the Bay Area. Quite a few of those are fairly well primed for some big earthquakes. Down here across the Parkfield section, it's right there at the end of the creeping section, close to the Parkfield section. Got some earthquake activity here, 1.2, and then this one 2.1 just off the Parkfield section here to the east. Lighten up here in the last hour. This segment right here of the San Andreas Fault sees earthquakes of magnitude 6.0 or higher every 20 to 22 years on average. The last one was 2004. So here we are entering into a window, a time period there where we could see some larger activity, and some concern here with the amount of strain that's now built up on the southern branch of the San Andreas Fault, where it could pop at any minute. The likelihood of seeing a domino effect here is quite high. If one should go, it could trigger the other, meaning the Parkfield 6-pointer could definitely trigger the entirety there of the San Andreas Fault southward. Right now it's sleeping, but it's not always going to be that way. Some smaller quake activity there across extreme southern California. Nothing big going on down there for now. In fact, nothing above 2.5 across the southern portion of the state. But again, be on guard. Yellowstone National Park, nothing showing up there aside from looks like around the Spencer, Idaho area. Got a swarm of activity stirring up out here recently. I do believe it's leading to something bigger out here in the region. These faults have been quite active out here in the last 30 days with a number of different swarms there on various fault systems, including some around Yellowstone National Park. But today, nothing showing up there. Let's double check the graphs here and see what we have today. Go up here and check this one. And it does, those are, that's at 2 o'clock in the morning. This here is going to be just before 5. That would probably match, get rid of that. That looks like it would match one of these quakes here. Oh, goodness. Put that on silent. Looks like it matches that 2.6 there in Spencer, Idaho this morning around 5, and then also the one there around 2 o'clock in the morning. That would be these two quakes there. But as far as local, there's the 6-pointer in Japan showed up at a distance there. That would match the time period. This is Yellowstone National Park. It does pick up the ground vibrations, and it does quite well. But as far as any earthquake activity locally, maybe one here, that little blue one, but that's about it. Yellowstone, fairly quiet in terms of earthquake activity, but over here to the west, it's been quite active. Excuse me. Let's see, oil field still rocking and rolling. Nothing new out there, folks. It's just a rinse and repeat cycle of earthquakes. New Madrid seismic zone, one earthquake there from last night, little 2.1. Some smaller quake activity here around the Tennessee region from last night as well. The eastern portion of the country continues to be quiet. There's a 4.9 out in the Fiji area, super deep earthquake there. Let's see what we got here on the globe. Yeah, that one just coming in. New Zealand still got some 4s there, but it's pretty much stopping there around the Hikurangi subduction zone, the North Island area, in terms of larger movement. Occasionally we'll see some 3s, magnitude 3.0 earthquakes rocking across the plate boundary. But as far as the larger quake activity, it's holding off right there. But I don't know for how much longer. New Zealand's fairly well primed for some large activity as well. Some quake activity off the coast there. Into the eastern Pacific, it looks like this morning. There's a 5.5 earthquake. That's in a little fracture boundary out here. A number of them. You can see it there on the oceanic crust. Normally, activity will stir up in this location, probably right around the Middle America Trench. That's just the way the general stress movement takes place. We're about right here where that fracture boundary is, and again the plate movement normally will head in this direction right there across the Middle America Trench region. And let's see if we got any uptick. There's a little bit of uptick since that quake there last night. Looks like some 4 stirring up here on the opposite side here of the subduction zone. See that 4.5 in the Caribbean area. Well, in the on the Caribbean plate, that's going to be right about here. In the Gulf of Honduras area on that plate boundary. Looks like maybe there's another 4-pointer there in the Mexico area as well. So definitely seeing an uptick in earthquake activity following this event from last night. South America, a little quiet out there, only a handful of smaller quakes. Uh, the Atlantic, pretty quiet. Some movement way up north here, north of Iceland, north of Greenland, Mediterranean region. Some older quake activity from from yesterday. A lot of movement there around the Turkey area. Nothing new to report though for now. There's another deep 4.2 into the Indonesia area. That earthquake just coming in, it looks like, here in the last 10 minutes or so. So we got, a lot of activity rocking and rolling here across areas of the western Pacific and the southwestern corner here of the Filipino plate. One area that hasn't had an uptick here in terms of recent, like, in the last week or two, in the last couple months, we've obviously seen it. That's a Nankai Trough region. Was expecting this to stir up with all this activity happening south and north of it, and it may still, but it is very well locked and potentially ready to produce a large megaquake. That's the Nankai Trough Zone right here. You'll hear me talk about it a lot. It's a region where the Japan Meteorological Agency put out a megaquake warning for last year, and that's because of a swarm that was happening down south here. We've seen a similar swarm happen a couple months ago. No big earthquake activity, but it could be very well primed there for some major movement. But that's just one area. We do have to watch here in between these two major events today. The Kuro-Kamchatka Trench, the remainder of it. So with these increasing events north and now increasing events south, it only makes sense there to watch these areas in the middle. And there's a couple middle points out here, so just be on guard. We'll continue to watch that and cover anything that takes place out there. Space weather activity. Got, looks like a little sea flare activity stirring up right now, C2.8. Really not seeing anything of major concern, though. That sea flare is way out here on the western limb. So the sunspots that we do have right now are fairly... wow, it looks like they've weakened even since last night here. Let's see, yeah, it's looking like these are going to fade off a little bit. There's a couple regions here, 4242, but the latest imagery, which would technically would be this one, is actually 2 weeks old. If you look at the time frame here, it's from the 13th of September. So as far as the most very recent imagery, we just have to go with this one, and this is still somewhat of an older image, almost a day old. Excuse me. The kids started to get sick here, and I think Missy Mimi's is getting her throat itchy as well, and then all of a sudden, here I am. Start doing an update, start talking a little bit, yakking a little bit more, and my throat starts to hurt. Great. That's not good. I do not want to be sick. All right. Yeah, I feel it. It's that tickle feeling in the back of your throat, and almost feels like it's starting to climb up your sinuses a little bit. That's the exact feeling I'm getting right now. So I better make this quick here before it comes into a full panic coughing fit. 84, massive coronal hole pointing down south, though, of the Earth-Sun plane. We also have another one, 85. That will be center disk here of the sun in a number of days. Okay, so flare threat right now still shows 60% chance there for an M flare. X flare has been bumped up to an 15% chance for X flare, 60 for M flare. I'm not for sure the reasoning behind bumping up the X flare. These, in fact, look like they are degrading a little bit, but we'll have to watch that. I do think it's possible we could see some X flare or M flare activity from there. 91% illumination there of the moon, if you can see it. And let's take a look here at the next close approach asteroids here to the planet. See if anything is headed to the vicinity of us. I don't see any doom and gloom out here for now. This one's under 1 million miles, but that's only a 27-foot bus-size asteroid. Quite a few new ones out here. In fact, it looks like all of these are newly discovered. Nothing in close proximity for now. Storm Prediction Center. Looks like they added a slight risk here across portions of Wyoming and Nebraska, Colorado. No tornado threat. Looks to be Wind, main threat appears to be some wind out there. A little bit of hail threat out there in the 5% zone as well. Taking a look here at the weather models, see if anything's coming to the Gulf Coast states or the Atlantic as far as hurricane potential goes. Really not seeing anything right now. Massive low pressures coming in there across the eastern portion of the country. Man, that means ridging out along the west coast. I don't like that. I need me some more rain. I definitely enjoyed the rain that we had here recently. So I hope these weather models will change. The Climate Prediction Center here. Let me see if I can find them. This is for the 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook from October 12th to the 18th. Does show sufficiently above average for the west. So maybe some of those models are wrong. The tropical tidbits, they always change. And much below normal out here for the west coast, above normal for the majority of the country east of the Rockies, well below for precipitation. That's the 8 to 14 day forecast. As far as the 6 to 10 day, well, that keeps the west coast there very wet and below average temperatures, dry and warm out there in the plains and the rest of the country out there, it looks like. So yeah, that's all right. I'm definitely liking this. These tropical tidbit models, sometimes they change. It depends on which symbol you're using out here as well. It could definitely switch up. Let's see here. Anyway, all right. I just got my fingers crossed we'll get some more rain. I'm a big fan of the cooler and wetter weather, let me tell you. Seismograph stations out there look pretty quiet. Looks like a little spike there on Anza. Nothing big, but we'll keep an eye on a couple different areas here today, folks. Watch the Kamchatka region. Watch the area around the Nankai Trough. Just because these zones are quiet for now does not mean that they're not capable producing some big earthquakes. You think about it, the amount of time that has passed along a couple of these regions are sufficient enough for a big earthquake. Bigger, way bigger than a 6-pointer, like what we've been seeing here in these areas. Of course, the 8.8 up there, partially relieving the strain out here along the Kuro-Kamchatka. It still has potential for a bigger quake. All right, we'll see you guys out here a little bit later on, folks. Enjoy your Saturday. Have a good one.